Let's move on to agenda number 10. And Mayor Pro Tem Lopez-Viado.
This one I had a variety of questions. I know I asked previously you were going to go ahead and do a little presentation, and I'll ask further questions if they're not answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, agenda item 10 tonight's agenda concerns a contract for transit services. Through this contract, the city vendor, MV Transportation, who is a very good vendor for us, provides both fixed route and demand response, which is dial-a-ride services. The program is administered by the City Public Services Department and funded using restricted funds, both Prop C and Measure R. I've asked the Public Services Supervisor to give a brief staff report. He's got a PowerPoint ready to tee up, and then staff will be available for questions after that. Thank you.
Evening, Mayor and Council members. So item number 10, consideration of Third Amendment to MV Transportation Agreement for Transit Services. The original agreement was approved on December 17, 2013. It's a 5-year agreement with provisions for 2 one-year extensions with MV. They provide fixed route and dial-a-ride transit services that began on March 3rd, 2014. The total cost of the agreement was $4,953,125. The contract is approximately $1 million a year. Shuttle services consist of 3 alignments, red, blue, and green. They operate Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. The estimated annual hours of operation for the shuttle service are 11,650 hours. The cost is $1 per ride, or $1 boarding fee, and then 50 cents for seniors. This is a breakdown of the hours and the miles that the actual routes take. So the red line, which is actually clockwise throughout the city, goes on the outskirts of the city, and we'll go more into the lines as we go through. 2,831 hours and approximately 34,000 miles. And then the blue line, which goes counterclockwise through the outside of the city, it's 3,100 hours, 3,900, or 40,000 miles basically. The green line runs concurrently north and south, so the buses go in opposite directions of each other. So it's one line, but there's 2 buses taking that line. So for the northbound, there's approximately 2,614 hours and 42,000 miles. And then the southbound side is approximately 3,000 hours and 49,000 miles. Here you can see the blue line. This route was extended in June 2001, and the reason for that, the route originally ran just to Workman, but because of the senior housing up on Lark Ellen and Badillo, the route was extended to go all the way to top to access that senior housing and give them the transportation they need. This is the red line. The thing that I want to say about this line, the ridership on this line is lower than the other lines, but this is the line that travels through the center of town and hits most major stops in the city. For example, the high school, the mall, DMV, city, the courthouse, city hall. So this is a spot that maybe someone doesn't need every day, but when they need it, they need to get there. The green line was established in June 2001, and this was actually a call for projects grant. So this was extended in 2001, and this extended from the senior center down to Friendship Park, so on the south side of town. This slide shows our total ridership for last fiscal year. As you can see, the blue line is a little lower, but like I stated before, that actually goes through the middle of town and hits the primary spots in the city.
Sorry, can you correct that? Because I think you said the red line hits hit the spot, and I know the blue line is actually the smallest ridership.
Let's go back. Oh, I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. This was dial-a-ride ridership. I apologize. That's my mistake. This is for the dial-a-ride. So the weekday numbers and then Sundays. So dial-a-ride works every day but Saturday. This is trips throughout the city for West Covina residents, for seniors that are West Covina residents, and it will take them up to 3 miles outside the city to a doctor's appointment. And that does it every day but Saturday. So I gave the wrong numbers on that. I apologize.
the annual ridership by month, it does show that the blue line has the least amount of ridership, not the red. Red is in between.
Let me go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, I went forward. I apologize. This is the correct slide, right? No. This is the ridership slide. The blue line is actually the lowest. Yes, you are correct.
Where does the blue line go?
The blue line goes counterclockwise on the outskirts of the city. And this is the line that was extended to reach the up to Badillo and Workman. It was actually extended in 2001, and it previously stopped at Workman, and now it goes up Lark Ellen all the way to Badillo to the senior housing on that part of town. Any other questions on the ridership there?
I have additional questions after you end your presentation.
Mark, it won't let me back in this. I'm double clicking on the slide. Thank you. Once again, I'm sorry for getting out of order. So we're back to dial-a-ride, and this is the total ridership. The reason for the increase on this, the reason for this amendment is Senate Bill SB 3 of 2016, which was the minimum wage increase. That is the reason that we're having to make the amendment to this contract. The first amendment was done in 2017, and then the second one followed in 2019. The City Council has the following options: approve staff's recommendations, approve an extension of the contract with no rate increase, and direct staff to work with MV Transit to reduce its operating hours to stay within status quo, direct staff to conduct a request for proposals. This is not recommended as the current service is excellent, and it would be expected that rates would be much greater than proposed or increase would be, or it would raise fees if we go out to RFP. That is our assumption. Or you could provide alternate direction. The recommendation: approve the third amendment to the agreement for transit services with MV Transportation, effective March 3rd, 2020 through March 2nd, 2021. Approve the following resolution: a resolution of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California Resolution Number 2020-10, adopt a budget amendment for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
How is the ridership? Has there been increase or decrease within the previous years?
I believe the ridership has stayed pretty close to the same. We've seen some variations, but this has been about average for the last few years.
I see that the last time they looked at it was in 2001. Have they recently looked at the needs of the community with the changes in the city, such as like high density changes, business and development occurring? Have they looked at the logistics to better serve the community, primarily our seniors, our students, and just the routes on that for the shuttles?
We have not. Mayor Pro Tem, we have not, but we are currently working with MV Transit to do that before the next RFP. So all those things you're asking, when this contract ends, the plan is to use the audit that we're with the ridership now and use that for the next RFP to better utilize our funds and make sure that we're hitting all the demographics that you talked about.
When is the next RFP?
It will be due next year. This is the final year of the contract.
Okay, so they would look at all those, well, the routes and things that could be easier, better served our students. I mean, I'd like to make sure that they focus on the students before and after school programs and activities. I looked at, oh, go ahead.
Also, to add on to what the Mayor Pro Tem is saying, in looking at these routes, I appreciate West Covina Unified is pretty well covered, but there's no route to South Hills High and Covina Valley schools. And so that may be an area that needs more attention. It does go down to Nogales, and interestingly enough, which is part of Roland, it's the green line which shows the most ridership. So that's, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. When I'm looking at the annual ridership per month, the green line they go by thousands of ridership, anywhere from 1,000 to almost 3,000. The blue line goes by the hundreds, no more than, it's from 300 to 500. If the green line, the population, they're utilizing it there, and I looked at it's only by 30-minute routes. Can they consider doing it 15-minute routes, or just to look at all that and cater to the highest needs of ridership?
We can look at all options. The only thing that we wanted to point out is the blue line, the one that has the lowest ridership. Those are the places that a lot of people need to get to, just not as often. So I think we can ask the transit company to look at location, adding Covina schools, incorporating the stops on the blue line in the green and red. So all those things can be done, and those are things that we're definitely going to audit and look at.
On Article 5, Statement of Services, number 4, it says, conduct town hall meetings on the agreed schedule at a reasonable frequency to educate the public, particularly senior citizens and dial ride patrons on these services. Has that been occurring at all?
That has not been occurring, but it will occur before the next RFP.
Reason why I ask, because I remember my grandmother, before she passed away, putting her on this dial-a-ride. My aunt, who was a caregiver, had some problems with the dial-a-ride and the frustration for it. So I'd like to make sure that they honor what their contract allows them to do. So that was one. And the same for the Article 5 Statement of Services, number 11, I believe, on advertisement. Oh, advertisement. The city will be exploring the opportunity to advertise city programs and events such as entrepreneur or private ventures that would benefit the city. And should these endeavors result in revenue generation, all such advertisement revenues from advertising vehicles, including electronic print advertising, should belong to the city. Have we been utilizing that as well?
We have utilized it to promote our programs in the past, but we have not done it lately because it is a cost to us. Currently, the buses have the Shop Local program on the side of them, and we've been using it for Shop Local. So as opportunities arise, we definitely explore everything we can do, but the main reason we haven't done it more is because of the cost to us. That's not something that we can use special funds for, and it is a cost to the city to outfit the buses. In the past, we've wrapped them to promote BLD, Big League Dream Sports Complex, and other things like that. So that option is there. We have not done it as much as we like because of the cost, but we definitely can do that. And if revenue did present itself, we would do what we could to bring that to fruition.
Okay. Well, as long as you're going to look at take all this into consideration before the next RFP, I don't mind moving forward with this. Any other questions?
Okay, Councilman Casiano?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And to add to it, I think raising awareness to take care of this underutilized resource is important. Maybe we could ask Athens to include something in their monthly bill or quarterly to let people know it's here. In addition to that, maybe we could partner with Uber and Lyft to see if there's some method to take advantage of this capacity. And other than that, just any other way we could think of to use it, because it's here and the gas is being burned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And then I remember, okay, go ahead.
Thank you for reminding me that. The Lyft program, didn't the city set a contract with the Lyft, and is that part of this?
We have earmarked funds, and we are approved to move forward with the Lyft program, but we've been having difficulty with contacting Lyft and working with them. The other thing that we found is that the fees have continued to rise, so the money that was allocated for it doesn't go as far as originally advertised. So it's something we're still pursuing, something that we've been trying to follow up with, but we found it very difficult to work with Lyft, and we'll continue to see if we can bring that forward.
Okay, Councilwoman Shoemaker?
In the contract, it says amount of service to be provided, approximately 24,000 trips will be provided over a one-year period. And that is for the dial-a-ride service. At this point, we are about half of that. Yet, this company is coming to us, once again, asking for an increase because the minimum wage increased. The problem I have, and maybe some other council members can jump in, is I believe when we did the one-year extension last year, it was with the understanding that this would carry them through the last 2 years of the contract, and that they would not be coming back to us for an increase because the minimum wage increased when they've known that. And that's why they came for an amendment last year. So I want to know if staff has had any discussion with them about that item and the fact that we are on the last year of the contract. Have we looked at things like it's supposed to be 24,000 trips a year and we're only at 12, so, you know, are the buses basically sitting somewhere? 2, what has the city been doing to contact the school districts? Because I know when I was in school, a lot of people used the dial-a-ride because they picked up right at West Covina High School. I don't see routes that are close to Coronado High School. They do go along Sunset for Edgewood High School, but Edgewood, I mean, has greatly increased their population as it's become the high school also. I don't see any route next to the Mount Sac Early College Academy. I already mentioned I didn't see a route next to South Hills High School. So maybe this is some of the issue. Is the city responsible for advertising this? Is our contractor responsible? Why isn't our contractor or the city staying on top of the fact that we have really low utilization for something that costs us a lot? You know, are we having so few dial-a-rides because there's requirements like 7-day advance notice? So you're asking me as a council member to approve something when there's a huge number of questions as to why we don't have the ridership, why we even need an increase for the dollar increase. They want 3.15% for a dollar increase. And so, I mean, I personally want them to stay because I do believe staff when they say they provide a good service, but at the same time, I feel like we're kind of being used when questions like why are we at half the ridership for dial-a-ride aren't answered. Why do they need an increase when we specifically discussed last year that they would keep their same rate for the next year? Because I remember myself specifically, because it was one of my first council meetings where I flat out said, it has been no secret in California that the minimum wage is going up. We've known for years and years, and when they came back in 2017, they would have already known the increases going forward. And so, I don't know if you
Mike, could you answer? Could you answer, okay, Councilwoman Shoemaker's question?
There was a lot of questions there, and I understand the questions. I don't have the answer for the dial-a-ride numbers. I will reach out to the provider and get that information and get that back to you in a weekly. MV is willing to educate and do things like go to our senior center and go to places to educate what's available and what can be done. They've already talked to us about that, talked about giving out pamphlets to their riders and promoting stuff on the buses as well. So they are reaching out to us about what they can do to improve ridership. The routes and locations where we're going to stop, those are definitely things we can look into. I believe the routes are set because of cost, you know, staying within the boundaries of what the budget was and what it is. The hourly rate, they didn't actually come back last year. They came back 2 years ago. They came back in 17. So there was 1 year skip. They did the First Amendment, I believe. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I'm looking at it here. But they did the First Amendment in 16, and then the following in 17, skipped a year, and then came back. I just think costs have gone up more than they
I just
thought.
want to clarify, the Second Amendment was March 5th, 2019.
Oh. I'm failing today. I apologize. You were correct.
It was an exciting meeting, kind of notable.
It was. I'm sorry. I was thinking 2018. I got mixed up on my years there. So we will, I will provide more information on that and see if there's anything other than the hourly rate. I mean, the explanation to us is the hourly wage, that the costs just continue to increase, and that's what they need to do to keep their drivers compensated correctly.
But again, it goes back to the conversation last year, which was they've known for years that the minimum wage was going to increase, yet they come back every year for an increase and say, oh, we need to increase it because of the minimum wage, instead of building that into their cost or having a year by year. And there was a discussion and understanding that was supposed to go to them that we would not be at this point again this year with another increase, because they should have been estimating what their costs were going to be. I mean, if you're asking for an increase of 3.5%, I don't think it's unreasonable to know why ridership is down, for them to have taken an active before we get to the point of contract, and to explain why when we increased the fares last year, they're back this year for the same reason, even though they knew that the rates were going to go up.
I understand your point. I can get that information for you, find out from the provider if there's an answer to that, and get back that to you in a weekly as well.
Okay, and then my next item, and this may be for the Mr. City Manager. We've now heard that there's an issue with the Lyft contract. Can it come back to the council as to what's going on, why it's going on, and why we were not informed before so we could have taken action? Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez-Viado.
Same Article 5 Statement of Services on dial-a-ride services. Well, I guess this applies to both. On collection of fares. Total fare amount collected by the contractor shall be deducted from the monthly billing statement to the city. Can you explain that further?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, page 7. Number 5, letter A, the total fare amount collected by the contractor shall be deducted from the monthly billing statement to the city. Can you explain that further, please?
That is just, they show what the fares are to show the ridership, and then that's deducted, and they provide that to the city monthly. They just deduct it monthly from what is owed. So the payments that we pay
So we pay a monthly payment, and whatever fees that they collect.
is deducted from that,
awesome.
correct?
Well, then I do agree with you in regards to our services. That's why I asked, the first question that I asked was, has there been an increase or decrease? And I'd like to know that as well, because if we are giving them this raise and we're decreasing ridership, and we don't see them promoting this, then I feel like we shouldn't have to do that. Thank you, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I want to add on some of the concern. I think it's this, okay, mass transportation is very important for our city, especially all this for the people needed, like senior citizens, people have issue with cars, then they need this transportation. Now the problem is, how can we make this ridership higher? I think we've been talking so many times in previous, I think, council meeting, we talk about how about the mapping, how about the route, and how about making it convenient. And I think I talked to a lot of residents, okay, they have a conflict. Some people say pretty good, some people say horrible, some people say they apply, they never get it approved. So how can we, okay, make this transportation become okay, kind of our city's, okay, 16, 17 square mile, and their route will be going to needed place, okay, with a student, with a senior, okay, and then we can have a more ridership. And another thing is, like the other city council member talking about, okay, promotion, okay, we know that people need how easy this thing to be used, okay, and we want more people to use. And the thing is, tonight, I don't know what decision you want to table it or something, okay, rather than just decline or approve, because we really need this transportation. I think we need to discuss about, can they give us some of a suggestion about the route? Is that possible? Or they say, no, this is only route we want to cover?
That is possible. I mean, we have the choice, the council has the choice tonight to not approve the increase, and we can look at the routes to make it fit within the guideline, the parameters of the contract now. That can be done. Obviously, as stated before, the next RFP is going to be huge. We're going to have to do the town hall meetings that are required. We're going to have them audit the ridership and do that, and that's going to be all part of the next RFP. So all that information will come out and then be used for the RFP of how the routes will be designed, and that will all come to council with the contract.
Okay. And this is from the restricted fund, right? This is, okay, all this budget is coming from what? Restricted fund?
Yeah, restricted fund, Prop C and
Prop C.
Measure R.
So nothing from our general fund. This is a fund, restricted fund, and so now they request 3.5% increase, and your suggestion we approve, but you can still work with them to get the new route. And that's why you're saying so to reduce any risk of some kind of conflict between us and this transportation company.
Regardless of whether this contract, regardless of what happens tonight, we've already started working with them to look at the routes. It's been a while. These all were established in 2001, and so we realize they're getting older. So we've already reached out to MV and started the process of doing that. We just didn't have the information for the meeting tonight, and know that's going to be needed for the next RFP. So we're going to continue that. We're going to continue that research, add the town hall meetings, look at the school sites, and bring that forward for the next RFP.
So if we decline, about the 3.5% increase, what will happen?
There will be, the routes will change. They'll have to be minimized to stay within the thing. Oh, would you like to come up? MV's actually here.
Why didn't you say that at the beginning?
We have you guys, much easier to explain to us.
Oh.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mr. Tony Wu, and council members. I'm Judy Smith, Regional Vice President for MV Transportation. I'd like to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to hopefully continue to partner with the city on the projects for the fixed route and dollar ride services. There's one thing I wanted to, just for clarification, is that actually last year when we came to you for the increase, it was for, our contract expires actually March the 1st of this year. And March 1st of every year is our contract term. So when we came to you last year for an increase, it was to cover for 1 year, not a 2-year period, for increased minimum wage. But as we know, not only minimum wage increases every year, we have employee benefits that increase, operating expenses that increase overall. So that increase was for a 1-year period. Our current contract expires this year, March 2nd, and we're coming to you for an extension we have 1 more year extension on our contract that we've requested a 3.1% increase on, which also addresses this new year's increase in minimum wage, and also operating expenses and benefits and everything to our employees. So it is for, it was for 1 year for each period of time. As for the overall contract and ridership, over the last year, we had, as you know, your city has been undergone a lot of construction on some of our routes, a lot of things that have impacted how the ridership is looking on our overall system here. So during that time, we actually looked at some of the routes with previous staff members who oversaw transportation at the time. And it was determined at that time that because there was so much construction throughout the city, it was very difficult to determine what the true needs would be. Now that we have a lot of completion in the area, we can actually come back and take a look at where things have changed, where the city has grown, businesses have moved in, all of the things that will help in the future now that we have a lot of the construction behind us. So this contract is actually for 1 more year. As of March 1st, our contract is expired actually at that time. So we're asking to extend an additional year, which is allowable under our current contract terms, and with that, with an increase for 1 more year operating expense. So just for clarification, last year wasn't for a 2-year period that we've asked for an increase for. It was for that 1 year. There were 1 year options going forward. In our dollar ride system, you see the ridership has declined. If you're involved in transportation across the country, a lot of the traditional dollar ride systems are challenged right now with some of the ridership, because our passengers have a lot of options for transportation, be it as a senior today, I might still be driving, whereas maybe 10 years ago they were depending on the dollar ride system. But I think with partnering with the department and with the city to improve advertisement for the services, letting the senior centers know what's available to them, we'll work hand in hand with the department for this next year. So when we do go to RFP, it could be possibly incorporate options where some of our locations that I have oversight for Southern California, we have a dollar ride combination lift option to help keep costs down for the cities, things of that nature that can help mitigate some of those expenses. Fixed routes, you indicated some of the areas that we're not seeing some of the ridership there. Take a look at that. And now that, once again, construction has kind of diminished in the city a little bit, and really take a focus and a look at that. So I just wanted to point out some clarifications on the contract, and it's for 1 year. Last year was for 1 year. That will expire in 2021.
Thank you so much. And Council, any question? Okay, Councilwoman Shoemaker.
I understand that it was the first year of 2 allowed 1-year extensions.
Right.
And so if you believe that I said we had put into the contract that what the fees would be for this year, that's incorrect. The discussion with your company and the understanding of the council is that this year you would not be back to ask for an increase based on minimum wage increases that you knew about. So that, I think, is part of the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then I understand there's differences. I'm a little confused as to the construction because I don't believe any of the routes go on the freeways or really, so city streets haven't had.
There's some main thoroughfares through the city. I have my general manager who oversees the operations day to day, and she can probably speak to.
How about we have all of them join so that if we have questions, they can answer?
that they can,
Yeah, next time so we can just ask you the questions.
No. Yeah, and this is Jenna. Come on, Jenna. She's our general manager.
Yeah, welcome, General Manager.
Yes.
Hi,
go ahead.
how are
Talk
you?
about-
So when we first started here,
Just because
Steve Allen.
it's just because this is on YouTube, so the community can hear you and people out here.
okay. So when we first started here, we were here probably the first year or so, and we started to get a lot of, is it better? Okay. We actually ran into a lot of construction. So like our blue line was impacted where we would get complaints that the bus was late or, things like that. But it was something that we couldn't really prevent because of construction. We were dwindling down to 1 lane on both sides, and then, construction would let us go and then not go. And so it really impacted our ridership. So when we first started, we were doing really well, and as the years progressed, and construction kind of moved towards the Pomona area, it's gotten better now. We haven't gotten in many complaints, and the construction has moved that way. So I have been working with Mike and with Kelly to increase ridership. So I hope that helped a little bit.
It does. I'm still a little confused because I know we've had off and on underpasses that have been closed or narrowed down, but
Yes.
a lot of especially the Green Line has never hit.
Oh, no, the Green Line has been fine. Green Line, it's a hit and miss. That's usually used by the students. So when the students are out, they're done. But and during the school year, they ride a lot. So.
Yeah. What was my other question? Really quick, I just remembered what it is. We're talking about cutting the lines. Why would we cut down the distance of the lines and not the dial-a-ride services? If clearly we're at 50% utilization, why do we have to have 5 on call? That's my last question. It says, the operator will be expected to provide 5 Starcraft All-Star 25-foot buses or vehicles of equivalent or greater value and quality for the dial-a-ride services to be provided.
We run 3 a day. So we have 3 dial-a-rides that run Monday through Friday and 2 that run on Sunday.
Okay, so.
There's 5 vehicles allowed just for breakdowns or if something like that happens, or like one's pulled out for maintenance, but there's 3 that are run on a daily basis.
Okay, that's interesting because we should be running 4 because the contract says one of the 5 will be considered to be a spare to be available. So we're already running one down.
Who want to have another question? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, please.
Actually, I do thank my colleagues for bringing out a variety of questions, because when we talk about contract, we don't just talk about the raise, we talk about all the services that you provide. I'm just curious, within this 1 year, what have you been doing for, I know you've been talking, but what have you been doing in regards to like promotion or, discussing all this? So I'm curious on that.
When we first got here, we were able to do a meet and greet at the senior center. So we were able to introduce ourselves, and give information to the seniors at the center. Since then, we've had different people come in throughout the city. So when we will begin a project and start to build something, we lose track of them. And so now we've been able to work with Mike, and I've been able to work with Susie at the senior center, and she and I have a proposed date in March so that we can do another meet and greet to try to provide new information to maybe some of the new faces that have come in since we first started the contract.
Are you just targeting the seniors? I mean, the shuttle is for all working people and students.
It's just one aspect, but we haven't done any outreach to any of the students or any of the local schools, but that's something that we can look into.
Okay, Councilman Casiano?
Thank you. Yeah, just to follow up with that, do you guys have a Facebook page?
MV does.
Well, I mean, for the specific purpose of outreach, I mean, I'm just seeing a severe lack of effort in this capacity, in filling the capacity. I mean, when I see the buses, I'm grossly disappointed. I mean, they're always empty. I cheer when I see one head through the window. Seriously, you guys could do better. How many contracts do you guys have? Over 200? You guys could do better.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a line of communication with Uber and Lyft?
We have a line of communication with, definitely directly with Uber, and we have one with Lyft as well. Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
maybe marketing interns to get some ideas. I know you guys could do better.
Yes, we will do better.
Please.
Yes, we will.
We need it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Johnson?
Thank you. We need to do better outreach, not only with our seniors. We have a lot of students. I think would take more advantage of it if they knew that you'd be going by the high schools and stuff like that. So not only doing it at senior centers, I think we had to do, instead of doing it once a year, I think we had to do more outreach at least 3 or 4 times a year. You need to reach out to those riders that aren't on your bus now, and what can you do better for them? So I would like to see this in the future, that we reach out not only to the seniors, but to the rest of the residents in the city. And the parks, and we could have, you could maybe do one at one of our parks, at the Cameron Park or someplace like that, have a reach out, so we can advertise so they can come and ask you questions themselves.
That's agreed, and we can develop also a survey as well to determine where the service is lacking and what people like to see more on the overall program as well. We'll do that for sure.
As myself, if I may, I would like to follow up on that I would like to see more than you just telling us that you will. I would like to see some action. As a council, we need to see that all residents in the city of West Covina and our outskirts that use your services are being provided the service that we are supplying. So we need to have that you guys are reaching out to them. So when we talk to them, they can say, yes, we're aware of it. That's all.
Okay, excuse me, okay, and I hope you understand, okay, that we are not trying to give you a hard time. Okay, we're trying to work with you because you're our partner. Okay, you provide very important service for our city, and we just try to have a more ridership, so we want to have a more resident can utilize your service. And I think you should understand about our mapping, about our West Covina Plaza. We have Eastland Mall, and we have the South Side. Okay, and we have all high school and elementary school. So how we have Azusa North and South, and Azusa can go to the on the north 210 and the south, okay, to the 60, and how we utilize, okay, in West Covina to move people, okay, into some area. I understand, but in concentrating West Covina, how can we move people around, and we can see. I understand, including myself, we see a lot of empty, okay, your shelters moving around. So it's kind of doesn't feel it's a good feeling, but hopefully we can really utilize, and like you say, it's park, right?
So at least community events, if you guys could attend, have some presents, some flyers. In the summer, we've got on Wednesday nights concerts at the park. Be a great opportunity to be out here with a booth, just spreading awareness about this great service. We just really need people to know. I think they'll use it.
Yes, we'll definitely participate.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
This one I forgot to ask, and maybe Mike can share. In page 17, special services, number 2, letter M, number 2, the contractor from time to time will be required to provide special event-related services. Special event service may vary from year to year and shall be billed at no more than the fixed route revenue hour rate. Do we utilize them for our special events? It's just only 4th of July, and is that the... But for any other events within our city, we have a variety that, I mean, we'd love the students and the community to attend, whether, it's a partnership.
We have a wide variety of events we use it for. 4th of July is a great event, but we also have our senior trips. They're utilized for that. It's offered to the school. We've used them for the school district before to take them certain places, trips to the nature center, things like that. We offer it to anybody that asks. West Covina Beautiful uses it for their home for Christmas tours. So it is given out to the community service groups, and we utilize it whenever we can.
Is that additional cost?
We charge to special funds when applicable. There are guidelines for that. And then we have a small transportation, but we have a small general fund budget that is budgeted that we do not go over every year. So there is no additional cost from budgeted cost.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate. Okay, Council, you guys have any decision why you want to move the motion to approve, or you want to table this? Okay, or you have a further concern? You have any question? Okay, want to ask our? Go ahead.
Well, my concern is we've had them for a year. I haven't seen that promotion, public marketing that is part of their contract, as well as, I'm glad that Councilmember Shoemaker pointed out the Dial-A-Ride about having 5, and they only have 3 that's out there. So I'd like to see, whether it's timelines, what they're going to do, and information before we could table this. I'd like more information because there's a lot of questions that hasn't been.
We want to make a motion to table this?
I'd like to motion to table.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion to table, the agenda from the Mayor Pro Tem Lopez-Viado, and I have second from Councilman Casiano. And any other discussion?
Just that because the contract expires at the end of the month, we need to get this on the first meeting in March. And I think there needs to be clearer understanding of what services are being provided, where we've had a shortfall, because I believe the company, when they say that they've contacted the city and been in contact with the city over these issues, and what they're willing to do moving forward to address the concern about the marketing and helping get the ridership up, and what it looks like moving forward, with the understanding that we're in the last year of the contract, so a lot of this will probably come forward next year, because I'm sure they will, hopefully will apply for when we have to RFP it.
Okay.
And then I would just say to the council, remember, we have 1 year left of the contract.
So you're going to table to March 3rd meeting? Okay, so we can decide that time, and we table so we can get more information and mapping and the promotion, and see how can we help each other to increase the ridership and the more service for our resident to use, and the benefit for the company and benefit for our resident. Okay, any other? Otherwise, I'm going to roll call, please.
Can I ask clarification
Yeah,
real
go
quick?
ahead.
I just want clarification. So on the routing, I know that's something we want to take into consideration, but I think that will affect the cost of the contract. So at this juncture, are we looking to change routing for the coming year?
I don't think
No,
so.
I
yeah.
don't think
I don't think so. I think we stick with our contract, but we see a promotion about what they are going to, make sure on their contract about more ridership for our residents.
Well,
Is there
and I want to know if we don't approve the increase, what that looks like to our services, with the understanding that it sounds like, at least for a certain period of time, we've had one less dial-a-ride vehicle than we
Yes.
are supposed to have under our contract, and what type of credit we'll get for that
Yes.
off of this. And also the understanding, if we don't want to approve the increase, what it would look like in terms of dial-a-ride and everything else.
Thank you for the clarification. We'll get you that information.
Not changing the routes because I think it's a waste of time since we have to RFP it next year. And as you already mentioned, you're going to be holding town hall meetings and everything else to get ready for that. So, no need to duplicate work.
Other than any other comment, otherwise roll call, please. Okay, and any other Madam Mayor, go ahead, Letty, Jessica.
I wanted to follow up on